And Matt, can you give us a clap? Nice. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. Today, I have Matthew Bright, who is the social media manager for the Laugh Factory Chicago. And, well, everyone on Earth has already talked about it, so I guess it's time for us to talk about it.
Yes.
Let's talk about Black Panther.
The
You
greatness.
are itching
Yes,
to talk about
yes,
it.
yes,
Please,
yes.
go ahead, sir.
Oh, no, it's easily one of the best movies I've ever seen. Easily. And I have a lot more to say about it, but I'm going to go ahead and see what you got to say because I'm interested.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say it was one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
You know, that's a bold statement. I think in order for
Okay.
something to be one of the best movies I've ever seen or to be considered a masterpiece or anything, you have to go through at least 80 years, you know. I mean, you know, it's not like Citizen Kane or 2001 A Space Odyssey, you know, or Battleship Potemkin or something like that.
Okay.
You know, for a comic book movie, it was one of the best comic book films I've seen. It was one of the best Marvel films I've seen. There were some issues I had with it. I felt like the first act dragged on a little bit, where Andy Serkis was sort of the villain of the week. And, you know, you're just kind of like, okay, everyone's getting together. They're trying to figure out how to take down the villain. Let's get him taken care of. And then once they kind of get past that first, I'd say about hour or so, the film really picks up. And we kind of get, you know, without getting into spoilers, more of
Oh, this is spoiler free? So we're
Yeah.
spoiler free in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not spoiler free completely. I'd say at a certain point we'll tell everybody there's spoilers.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But when we get to the second act, things become much more personal for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an antagonist who ties everything up, let's say, to the beginning of the picture.
Yeah, the reveals really do tie
Yeah.
up a lot of the loose ends.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it's forced or anything. You know, it's not like the way they forced it where you found out Wolverine's girlfriend that was actually betraying him in
Right, the
X-Men
entire time.
Origins.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, usually it kind of had, you could see a little bit of the Marvel structure. The third act sort of ended where everyone's fighting and there's lasers everywhere and stuff like that. But overall, I really, really liked it. I liked how it was Thor, the first one, done correctly, sort of with the family dynamic going.
Yeah.
And it even had some of the production design, and I mean this in the best way possible, from the Star Wars prequels, where Wakanda sort of looked a little bit like a hybrid of like an old gritty Star Wars universe with Coruscant mixed into it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and they didn't film it in Africa. They filmed a lot of it like on set.
Yeah,
and stuff
on
like
set,
that.
it was
A lot of blue screen.
a lot of blue screen, but the visually,
Looked great.
Wakanda
Yeah.
looks. It's because it's supposed to be this like, the home of Wakanda is supposed to be this very Mother Earth, but also one of the most high tech cities on planet Earth. The Marvel lore behind the movie really is enhanced. There's a lot of culture to take from the movie as far as vibrancy in African culture. And yes, there's a lot of personal issues with the character, with Eric Killmonger. I'm sure that's what you're talking about, right? And he's played by Michael B. Jordan, and the one of the greatest things I take away from this film is the social commentary you can't ignore, and that's kind of
yes.
what pushes the movie into a different space than just another Marvel comic book movie. Because yeah, it is what Thor was supposed to be, but the reason Thor couldn't be it is because Thor doesn't have the story that T'Challa has, that Eric Killmonger has. You can't write that story for Thor. Thor has this redemption story, as where T'Challa's story is more of a being his own king, like, and in creating his own identity within his culture that made him the person that he was.
Yeah.
and to not disrespect his past, but to have his own future. So I stand by it being probably one of the best films I've seen because the first hour doesn't drag for me personally because the film was picking up from where we had left off, and the reason it drags is because the writers of the story, I feel, said, hey, we can't assume everybody saw Civil War, we can't, so let's recap, and so you got to have the recap at the top. So that particular writing choice makes sense to me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that does, for anybody who's seen Civil War, yeah, it's slower. Like, you're going to be like, oh, I know this part of the story. Can we get to Wakanda already? Like, that's kind of the pace and feel. By the second act, you're like, okay, so what now? Like, what is T'Challa going to do now that all these pieces are moving? Mm-hmm. And then in a new way of fashion that Marvel does, because Marvel, I don't know if you've ever noticed, it's like Iron Man and then like a bigger version of Iron Man. It's like the Hulk and then like a bigger version of Hulk, and those are the villains in every movie. But in this movie, we get two. Yeah. And they're completely separate. The only thing that makes them the same is, spoiler alert, Eric Killmonger's like ultimately final form fight with T'Challa at the end.
So I guess we'll get into spoilers now. Yeah, he's his cousin.
Yeah.
And it's not like Loki, where Loki and Thor, they
aren't
on
really
the same
brothers.
Planet, and they kind of have the, like, we have, I gotta check my levels. I sound better now. Okay. So we have Killmonger. Yes. I'm trying not to get him
Eric Stevens in
confused with every single other character in a comic named Kill. But the thing was, he grew up in Oakland. He grew up in an inner city. There where his family had all these incredible resources where they could have helped out the rest of the world, and instead one of the Black Panther's dad killed his dad.
And killed his uncle, and then his uncle kept that secret. And what I learned from all of it is that that's the most personal thing. Like everything else being from the eyes that I've saw through, being a black man watching the movie. Mm-hmm. You see a child that was left in the neighborhood without his family, lost, no guidance, found his own way, made his way, and you may not agree, but all those kills and being part of the military and becoming something still successful and going to MIT, that's the type of person that I can understand. Like, oh wow, like you didn't let all those negatives put you down. You still pushed forward. You still tried to succeed. Yes, you were driven by vengeance. Like, that was his whole thing. That was the thing that carried him through. But that was something I could like relate to, and that's what Marvel villains have been missing. Like every Marvel villain was just so hell bent on, oh, you've got an Iron Man suit? Well, I've got a better one. And
every Marvel villain just wants to rule the world with no actual personal reason. Yeah. And here it's because, this guy came from a dynastic family. Yes. And not only did they not help him, but they didn't help people in his community. Yes. And they didn't help people out in the world. Well, did they help out people in Africa in the beginning? Or
Wakanda is a completely secular city from Africa, from the world. Nobody even knows it exists. Yeah. And because of that, a lot of the Wakandans believe that's why we're so successful. That's why we've thrived. White people haven't colonized us. That's why we're so. Right. That's why we've been able to get to this point. And then you have all this great. Not necessarily infighting, but like this debate in between, like, no, we can help the world. There are people who are kind of saying, no, we can help the world. And they're saying, like, we wouldn't even be where we are if we did. And so you get that struggle within the city. And then that's weighed on Chad Boseman's character, Black Panther, T'Challa. And all that conflict is boiling. Meanwhile, on the outside, you have Eric Stevens trying to find a way in. And then meanwhile, you have Claw, who was played by George Serkis. He's he was such a good
Eddie
villain.
Serkis, yeah.
Yeah, he was such a good villain and not a throwaway character. Because I don't know if you remember Avengers 2. There's when they right in the beginning they fight that Crossbones, and that he's like, I've been waiting my whole life, and you're like, that's such a you're like,
Are you talking about the main antagonist in the second Avengers? Not James Spader.
I'm sorry, Civil War. So Civil War, where they have the that fight right at the top in what is the big name screen that they put in the front? There's like a city overlay, and then they go to the fight, and Cap has to protect the grenade. She throws the grenade up, and because of that, you know, that whole thing unravels because of him. But he was only just a linchpin to move the story forward.
Yeah.
Juxtaposed, Serkis is there to really be a villain, and you kind of you don't feel like he's going anywhere until he does. Like, you know, until the spoiler happens. You know, you really believe
when you
like,
find out that the guy who is partnered with him is the real villain. The guy
because
in the
up until that
museum,
point, he owns the screen when he acted, and you're just like, oh, this is the guy we're gonna hate throughout this entire film. And then Marvel for once was like, by the way, here's this other thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't let you down. How did you feel about the acting?
It was good. It was good. I thought Chadwick Boseman was great. Throughout the whole week, I was speaking in a Wakandan accent, and people were like, dude, that's racist. I'm like, what? It's like, I just want to get an order of fries.
How many times did you see it?
I just seen it once.
But it's fine, because I have been doing that all week.
So, you've been watching it all week?
I've been doing a Wakandan accent.
Oh yeah,
most of the week. I'm not gonna do it right now because
it's cool. It makes
I like the movie,
it makes African accents badass. You know.
I mean, it puts it the focus to create an accent, because that's the thing. It is called a Wakandan accent.
Yeah.
They really created this. They created a very distinct to Wakanda voice and tone. They said they worked on it for years.
So they didn't try to just make up some accent. It wasn't like some American actor trying to do an English accent and it just sounds all over the place.
Yeah. That is very specific to make Wakanda feel real.
Yeah.
And that's probably why some people think it's real. But you know.
But yeah, Chadwick Boseman was great. He was very likable. He showed some but I found Michael B. Jordan sort of the most interesting character. Obviously, because of the way he was written. Yeah. Because, you know, he is this guy from what we've all went over from a background where nobody helped him out, where they could have helped him. And I'm glad that they didn't overplay the aspect that he's, like, sort of this guy from the ghetto. You know, like, there weren't too many jokes like, I'm the leader now, bitch, you know, and stuff like that.
No, but, like, and that's kind of like a stereotypical trope to do with a black actor.
Exactly.
Anyway, to make him go, yeah, cuz I'm coming for this. Now, to be fair, he did. But the thing is, that felt real. Michael B. Jordan gave you this performance that said, to me, again, it's a lot of culture about Black Americans' interaction with white society here in America. There's a lot of social commentary, and for him, he's created as this singular. To represent every person in Black America feeling like, hey, why hasn't Africa stepped in for us? Yeah. And been
which
here
we don't
for
say
us?
in real life. Why hasn't Africa stepped in for us?
And that brings us to a bigger question. And then for me, and I've been waiting to say this on camera for you. And it's that Wakanda is Africa.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan is Black America. And King T'Challa, Black Panther, is the ideal and the bridge. Because at the end of the movie, he says, hey, we're gonna come out, we're gonna outreach to America, we're gonna outreach to the world, and we're gonna try to make this a better place. That's one of the biggest takeaways. The largest takeaway I take from it is that all the Black women in this movie are badass, kick-ass, and you have to listen to them. And they always have, every one of them had the right thing to say. Every time, when right in the top of the movie, where she's like, you know, we should help these people. Like, look at them, they need our help. And he's like, we're for Wakanda. And then, you know, he's like, hey, I should listen to her. You know. And then the scene with the rhino, where she's like, tell your men to put their arms down, and she says that to her fiance, and Okoye. And he looks around and he sees, and she's like, she's right, and he drops. There's no more conflict. A lot of times where we see antagonists, we see heroes buck the decisions of people. You know, they're like, no, I'm gonna do what I and like that
Yeah.
machismo. Like I'm gonna do what I think is right. Black women along the way in this movie were just like, you gotta listen to us,
Yeah.
and they were strong. Like Okoye was amazing. I think she was a lot of her fight scenes were just so
Yeah.
cool. Like that staff is like the coolest thing.
Was Okoye the? I know that
That's
we
the
had.
general.
We
That's
had
the
Lupita
general.
Nyong'o.
Yeah.
And we had the girl who was in the last episode of Black Mirror was
That's
his
Shuri.
sister.
Yeah, Shuri.
Yeah. And then Okoye was
the general
Yeah.
of the elite guard.
Yeah.
His all black women elite guard.
Yeah.
And the choices that the director made to have in that scene where Eric shows up in the throne room.
Yeah.
And he steps, and then the elite guard just walks in, right?
Yeah.
And then they position themselves, say, "Hey, you're welcome here, but understand, don't try and step. We will make our move." Another thing was when he comes to him and says, "I want the throne. I want this." It wasn't from this very pompous position where he's like, "You can't have my throne."
Yeah.
T'Challa gets in his face, and he's
Yeah.
like, "You need to watch your mouth." And those type of moments where you saw confidence, where you saw strength, where you were able to think about it put black actors, it put black film, it put in a different light, because up until this point, you have Spawn, you got Blade, you got Meteor Man, you got Blank Man, you've got a list of movies that have black heroes, but it was always some person not of color ascending them and making them the person they could be.
They usually had a white
Yeah.
mentor. Yeah. You think
Even
of Blade.
Django. There's
Yeah.
another one I think of when they
Yeah,
did that.
Django. He had. I don't remember. I know the actor's
Yeah.
name, but the German guy from.
Yeah.
I look stupid. But he had the gentleman who picked him up and was
Yeah.
helping him out, and then you have in Blade you had Whiskers or Wesker.
Yes.
Wesker. Yeah.
And you have a lot of people in this movie talking about how, you know, they found ways for themselves, and even when they ingested, like Agent Ross is in the movie, he's not there to make things right.
Yeah.
He's just there to support. He's there to play his role. And again, back to the social commentary about that. That's kind of like this message to the allies, to the woke white people. You know what I mean? Hey, that's what you should be. You know, and you can't ignore the social commentary, the social
allegory.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what it brings to the movie.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
movie is,
and that's for me why it just takes it to another level. It's a representation of a lot of things. So
Yeah, I think it was a great allegorical picture on a commercial level that wasn't too preachy, that felt like it was something audiences have really wanted now and today. There was a wonderful line in the movie, in the post-credits scene, actually.
Yeah.
The first one, not the second one, with Bucky. Spoilers.
Spoiler.
Where we had what's Black Panther's actual name? See how much I know.
T'Challa.
Yeah, T'Challa. That sounds like a great sort of like. Can I get some T'Challa?
Yeah, it sounds like a
chili.
great actor. It
Yeah.
sounds like a great name for a hero.
Yeah.
Black Panther. I
Yeah.
think that's what it sounds like. But go on.
Okay, yeah, I'm racist, but so when T'Challa is standing in front of the UN, and then he says, "You know, we cannot have closed borders."
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Like this is sort of like the political allegorical picture that I think audiences need in today's day and age,
Yeah.
where. You know, if I'm going to get in the murky waters here, where America is sort of very divided right now.
Yeah.
Movies about unity and representation
Yes.
and diversity are very important, and we're seeing that more and more in films.
Well,
I mean, look at Star Wars. You know, we've
Star
had,
Wars is another movie.
female
Yeah.
leads. We had female leads
yeah.
in Mad Max Fury
Mad
Road.
Max, Fury Road.
And this one, everyone's saying, well, we're having a Spider-Man movie. That's about I'm on camera, so I'm nervous. I forgot his name.
The Spider-Man.
The Black Spider-Man.
Oh, Miles Morales.
Yeah, about Miles Morales. This is an animated
Yeah.
one coming from Sony that
Yep.
has everyone real excited.
And Donna Glover has voiced him in the past too on the cartoon. So
Exactly.
yeah, like no, the representation is coming. I think the thing to take away from Black Panther for me is you can hype a movie. Like
Yeah.
you know how remember just how they hyped Justice League with all the flashy boom 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 boom, a lot of flash, a lot of explosions. Black Panther had this type of hype that it met, and I just haven't. The reason it's one of the best movies I've seen is because of that. It's just I just haven't seen a movie with that much hype.
Yeah.
Hit all the right notes, and just totally be first. It was just visually stunning. I loved a lot of the camera choices, like when he finally. A little spoiler alert: when Eric Killmonger finally is on the throne, and how that one camera move they make is such.
Which angle was it?
It looks like the upside down. It looks like they just kind of
yeah.
when he comes back into the throne room, and that shot starts upside down, and they rotate it back up and to let you know like he's here to change things, and I love the music. Even,
the
music was unbelievable.
That's something that doesn't that was so unusual for a Marvel film too, because in Marvel films the music is usually very disposable, very click tracky, or sort of the other term people use is Mickey Mousing.
Yeah.
So if you're doing an action like someone sneaking across the room, you have music, and here the music. They had the cool Wakandan African drums, bum, 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 bum. And then during the car chase, you had that sort of like cool hip hop going boom, boom. Like I was fucking beating my head while I was playing. It was dope.
And it keeps such a great pace because like the music keeps such a great pace, and it keeps you. It doesn't. It doesn't do the thing that the Avengers have, like that very ominous orchestrated sound.
Right. Like who even knows that theme at the top of their head? There was a great video by this video.
And I'm not
essayist.
gonna buy that.
Yeah, there's a video essayist who used to do these great videos, but he's not doing them anymore. It's called Every Frame a Painting, and he did one about the Marvel Cinematic Universe's scores called the Marvel Symphonic Universe, and he broke apart how they don't have any recognizable themes. Like when you think of Star Wars, what song pops in your head?
Of course.
Ba 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 da 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 or da 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 da.
Of course.
You think of a Marvel film. Like think of one film that you could just start humming.
The song in Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. T'Challa. 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 Yeah. And for all of those reasons, I mean, like those are the biggest reasons for me. That, like the end result, the way they like the conflict ends, isn't what you're used to seeing in a Marvel film. Like like where
where they go back to Oakland.
Like,
okay.
Not just that. The end fight. So the fight's over, and that is not a typical ending to a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And it really created this new T'Challa from the ashes, the new Black Panther king. When it felt like when he returned to Wakanda, he wasn't king yet.
Yeah.
When halfway through the movie, he had just sat on the throne, but then by the end, you're like, oh, he's the king of Wakanda. Like he's and that moment with Eric, I think is kind of what cements it for me. Like he's not. Violence isn't his end all be all. How he wants to resolve everything, but he doesn't stray away from it either. And like Michael B. Jordan's like final lines are just stuck in my head. Where he says he would rather be buried in the ocean than be in a cage, and I just. For again, this is just like me as a black black man watching the movie. This movie hits every note for me.
Yes.
And those words still ring to me. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you want to be free. This is how he says I'm going to be free. I'm even going to choose the way I decide to end my life.
Yeah. Which, of course, they'll bring him back. I wish he didn't die in the film
Yeah,
because
that
he was
was
so.
my only
I wish
negative.
there's more of an arc
Right.
to him, and he's because we don't want another villain of the week
Right.
in Black Panther 2.
Right.
Or he's like, I am also your
Yeah.
cousin's brother.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'll recycle the story
Yeah.
like that. But I think the villain, Killmonger, is it's how Marvel didn't Marvel this time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like typically,
Marvel knew people
they'll
were
be
catching
back,
on to their
like,
flavor,
right.
and they're like, "Oh fuck, we gotta mix it up."
Yeah, we've gotta make people really care about these characters and then feel the loss when they're gone. Because in the Avengers, when Quicksilver dies, I was just like, okay, Quicksilver's dead.
Who's
like,
Quicksilver?
Right, exactly. He's dead, and don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But when like with your all the death scenes,
Yeah.
because one, Forrest Whitaker.
Okay, yeah, he was one casting choice. I was kind of like, yeah, if they ever need like an older black guy, just get Forrest Whitaker or Morgan Freeman.
I love Forrest Whitaker. If I had to choose, and might be controversial, I'm picking Forrest Whitaker over Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I mean, either way.
I love Forrest Whitaker, particularly myself.
It was also weird because like when I saw Forrest Whitaker in that movie, I couldn't help but think of his character from Rogue One. Where he's using like the same exact voice almost.
Yeah.
He's like, "Come on, child.
Yeah.
You must fight."
Yeah. I mean, but if it fits, you know, if it it fit what he was trying to accomplish, and I think that his and he's so important to what happens next. Like the movie. Okay, and the scenes in the falls, like all the challenge in the falls. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like the writing was great, the symbolism is great, the representation is great. The again, black women are dope, man.
Yeah,
black
they're badass.
Dope,
They hold up.
Dope.
They're just as tough as the guys in that movie, which I found great. Because there's so many comic book movies where it's like, okay, you got Captain America, you got the Hulk. You've got Iron Man. Oh, and here's Black Widow. Who cares?
Yeah.
She kind of sucks.
She's just kind of
like, what's your power? I'm a super spy.
It's not.
Huh?
You have an elite guard. You have his sister, who is the head science mind in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And all the cool shit she makes. All of it is so cool.
Yeah.
Okoye is his general, and all of these things. And all the decisions, you know, made, they're very realistic. You know, they're like when they're like, oh, what do we do? Who's gonna take on? She's like, I can't take him on. I'm not like look at him. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
You know, we need, and they all use their mind first and said, be rational, make a decision, listen to us, and things will go fine. Like that was one of the biggest takeaways I got. Who was your favorite character?
Killgrave.
Killmonger. We'll get you through this, Mike. It's fine.
Killmonger. I think we explained why.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I love Shuri. I think Shuri's energetic.
Yeah.
Not flighty because she's a genius, but her energetic attitude, and it really helped. And it was a really grounding force to where it didn't get too grandiose. It didn't get too like royal highbrow. Like you know, this is Wakanda. She was the. I thought you were gonna come back with beats for me. Like I thought when you left, you would come back with beats from Jay. Like that was the type of thing I enjoyed from her. I really like Shuri.
I only have one more criticism towards the movie, which is if they have this high advanced society, why do they still use these very tribal sort of methods? You know, where they're fighting each other to death. Even the sister in the movie is just like, will you just get this over with already and give him the medal?
Yeah, that's Shuri. And again, Shuri, the thing about Shuri is that she represents new Wakanda. She's not for tradition the way the elders are, the ancients are, but within that culture, a lot like a black family, a lot like black culture, we respect tradition. Like, I know I shouldn't eat a plate of baked mac and cheese, but it's amazing.
It's
and
great.
I'm gonna eat it because my grandmama made it, and you know, and that's kind of what this is. You are to pay homage to the traditions that made you who you are, and it's built within Wakanda to respect it. And I think that comes right from the comic book. Like the comic book took that and said, hey, tradition, but also technology. Wakanda society is like this balance of both, and they did not shy away from it. They didn't make it to where they're like they're sectioned off from the world, but they know what the internet is type stuff. But even on top of that, they're like beyond the internet.
Yeah.
Like when Ross shows up and he's like, "This is amazing." He's like, "I got a shot. Where'd you guys get all this? Like, how do you guys do all the things you do?" and they're so far ahead. It's a far advanced technology, far advanced society, on top of everything else. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I think that's why a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, because it's a marriage that they made work in my mind. That's my opinion. I think
I think Marvel's continuing to evolve. They're not going anywhere.
No.
As we can see the box office
the
results.
box office results are crazy. And do you think this means more superhero movies?
Of course. They're not going away.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking to myself. There's two things I noticed. You're going to get, finally, you're going to get more black superheroes, more black leads, more
reboot
black
of Blade.
writers, black directors, reboot Blade, reboot
Reboot
Spawn,
it.
reboot all of them.
We need a Blade where our Blade actually pays his taxes.
Oh my goodness. Leave Wesley Snipes alone.
Leave him alone!
Let him be. But there's a great theory out there about Blade that without him, we may not even be where we are now. So
that's
you might
true.
want to check that out.
That's true.
Yeah. I again, at the end of the day, even Rotten Tomatoes said, I read this in a headline the other day, that it's the best movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Blade?
No. Black Panther. And come on.
Yeah. No,
What are we here for?
I don't follow aggregated review sites, but I like to be on one. So, yeah, having said that, I think we've said everything we could about Black Panther. I'd love to talk about Blade and Spawn and.
Oh man, Blank Man.
We-
I'd sit here and talk
Blank
about
Man.
Blank Man.
I haven't seen Blank Man in forever, or if ever. I wouldn't know anything. All I
Damon
know,
Wayans, David Allen Greer. It's a great movie.
I got it confused with Blank Check, so I would.
Here we go. One's about a little white kid who finds a blank check.
Yeah.
Another one's about a superhero. In the
Yeah.
hood.
Yeah.
Wait, I can see how you get those mixed up.
Yeah. That was it.
right.
Thank you so much again, Matt.
Thanks, Mike, for having me. Appreciate it, man.
That was Black Panther, and we're gonna go out on this.
I'm only letting him do it because we're on camera.
All right.
Take care, guys.